This is The Boys podcast from TV Podcast Industries. We're back and we're talking about The Boys Presents Diabolical. Season 1, Episode 1, I'm Your Pusher. Welcome back, fellow boys and girls, to The Boys podcast.
Yes.
Been a while, hasn't it?
It certainly has. It certainly has.
Yeah, it's been so long that we turned the feed into The Boys and Invincible podcast feed for The Boys show. Interestingly, this show is produced by the same producers as Invincible, so this works perfectly. It's like we knew this was going to happen. It's produced by Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen, so they both produce The Boys and Invincible, so it all works together.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does. In fact, it's been so long that Chris has lost his way to the microphone and unfortunately won't be here today. But we'll be stepping in, fellow boys and girls, for sure.
Yes, we will. I'm one of your hosts, Derek.
And of course, fellow boys and girls, I'm one of your other hosts, John. Yes, it is going to be getting much more blue, I guess, and red as well, given the amounts of blood on display with our little snippets of Diabolical, the spin-off animated series from The Boys.
Yeah, 8 episodes, most of the episodes just over 10 minutes long, so we won't be talking as in-depth as we do about The Boys episodes, probably not enough to talk about the way we covered those episodes, but we will be talking about each of the episodes as we go through, because all episodes are released on Prime Video right now. All 8 episodes are out now, but you may want to watch them in whatever order interests you. So we're going to keep each of our podcasts separate.
Yes. And of course, it has been a long time since our fellow boys and girls have been listening to us. Mm-hmm. So just as a recap, remember, you can pop on over to any drunk or sober podcast player of your choice. Just search TV Podcast Industries, and you can head on over to our website at tvpodcastindustries.com as well, where you can find the podcast feeds there.
Yeah.
We are also on email for all your feedback around this animated series, Diabolical. You can send in your emails to feedback at tvpodcastindustries.com.
Yep.
And of course, if you want to leave a voicemail, you can head on over to the website and leave up to 90 seconds of your thoughts on the voicemail tab on the right-hand side of the computer screen.
Exactly, the right-hand side of the computer screen. I like that. Will we get into our discussion of Episode 1, I'm Your Pusher?
Definitely.
Well, first up, the animation style for this episode is based on an homage to the original Boys comics. You might notice that a lot of the characters look quite different to their live-action counterparts. These are all based on Garth Ennis' comic books and the style of art that's in those books, because this episode was written by Garth Ennis himself, the writer of the original Boys comic books. He also wrote Punisher Max and Fury Max Peacemaker, adult comics in the Marvel universe as well. So lots and lots of good stuff from Garth Ennis.
And this series is certainly adult, for sure.
It's really interesting, isn't it? It's on Prime Video, and we're also covering Star Trek Picard, which is adult in a different way. It is made for adults, certainly. But this is definitely aimed at a very more adult audience than Picard is. But this episode was directed by Giancarlo Volpe, who was a director on Star Wars The Clone Wars and Green Lantern animated series. So I know we've seen every episode of Clone Wars. We also cover Bad Batch over here on the TV Podcast Industries feed as well. So nice to see another member of that animation crew getting more work.
Definitely.
John, do you want to give us your quick synopsis for this short episode of The Boys Diabolical, Episode 1?
Sure. The Supes have a drug problem, and there's only one man that can help wean them off their addiction permanently. Billy Butcher.
That's a short synopsis, but
that's
it. Basically the episode, right?
In a nutshell. But Derek, what did you think of this first episode, I'm Your Pusher?
I really liked it. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because it is very different from the show. It has got the same characters. It does have a lot of the same members of the 7, but there's the rest of the Supes that are in this world are being kind of introduced in this episode. We see the Great Wide Wonder, who's in there as one of the superheroes, who's the one that's effectively being targeted by Billy Butcher.
Yes.
But what's different about it really is it takes that central storyline from the comics that Billy has been going out targeting Supes for various reasons. He's been kind of getting profiles of them, the bad things that they've done, and targeting the worst ones to kill and take them out effectively, which is quite different from the TV show. We don't really see that he wants to kill Supes at the beginning. He wants to take down the 7, but in here it's much more specifically about Billy Butcher's way of taking out every Supe that he comes across. We get a reference to Frenchie, the fact that Frenchie's whipped up this poison to go into the heroin to take out Great White Wonder.
Not just the heroin, the heroin enema.
Yes, the heroin.
It had to be an enema because, of course, it just makes it even better.
Yeah,
and more funny.
Absolutely.
The pusher, the drug dealer, Oswald Demecker, OD, exactly. Is the only person that the Great White Wonder will allow to prepare his enemas filled with heroin to get his high. I mean, there were plenty of other Supes that had, I guess, easier ways to sort of take the drugs on board. Yeah. But I do love that it's going in the same vein as the TV show, where it's highly irreverent and why not just push it that little bit further by it being an enema, so everyone has that vision of it being shoved up,
Yeah, exactly. You were close there, John. Something that I might have had to edit out, but we'll leave that there. Like they do have the opening as well, where they have the party going on, where OD is giving all the drugs to everybody at the party. So some nice little characters in there. The elephant-headed Supe, who's doing coke through his trunk, which I thought was quite fun. The double-headed Supe, who's kissing a man on one side and a woman on the other side. So that's quite interesting. Can you cheat on yourself when you're with somebody at a party?
I guess not. They must talk to one another.
They must. But lots of little touches here, and also the character Ironcast, who is also taken out by Billy Butcher in this bit of taking out Great White Wonder. It is another interesting bad Supe that we've got here. Someone that is drinking the blood of dying children because it's the only thing that gets him excited anymore.
Yes, exactly. And of course, we also not only do we have these new additions such as Ironcast. I don't know the elephant one, but there's also Jack from Jupiter, which is introduced here as well. But we do see as well, A-Train is taking Crystal, which is kind of a reference to the TV show as well, where he has the drug issue. Yeah. But also Queen Maeve needs to get high, and Homelander also needs to get his rocks off as well with some coke. So, yeah. Interesting stuff.
Yes, with some coke cut with human adrenaline. Yes. His particular pen shot. So OD is a man that provides anything you want. He can get it for you, is effectively the kind of platform he sells all of his drugs on, right?
Yes. And he's very good at it well.
He is. So what did you think of the kind of big, let's say, denouement, the big moment when Great Wide Wonder is taken out?
I just loved it. I mean, it would be... it's the big thing here. Yes, there's the lead up to it, but ultimately it's Billy Butcher's plan going into action. I love that he gets 2 for the price of 1, that not only with whatever Frenchie has put in to the bottle and OD has then put into Great White's heroin enema, but it makes him so high and so crazy that he's building up the speed, and he goes straight through Ironcast whilst breaking multiple bones. And I have to say, just that, because there's the energy and the explosion of Great White Wonder hitting Ironcast, but then all the sound kind of comes out. You just hear, that sound of something whizzing through the air, and then him skimming like a pebble across the remaining bit of water before he crashes into the harbour side with blood everywhere. It's just so in your face. Yeah. So that there's no There's no subtlety here, but that's what I like, because it's direct and to the point. This is retribution for two girls killed by the Great White Wonder, where he was effectively, trying to have sex with them, takes them up into space, where of course they freeze and they're still floating around. And this is a revenge killing, spiking Supes, and Billy Butcher, he's looked in. He's gotten not only Great White Wonder, but Ironcast. And the whole thing was really, really good. And even to the point where you have Queen Maeve then trying to distract everyone from the blood and guts that have flown everywhere from this huge impact.
Absolutely. I have to say, the comedy timing of that moment as Great Wide Wonder hits the wall and the blood goes all across the crowd that are waiting for him to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And then the scream happens. I just think it's just the timing between each of those funny moments where you're in the boys' universe again. You see through the center, that hole that's in the middle of Ironcast, the poor women who are behind him screaming as he falls to his death as well. The timing of those to hit the humor right is really good. And you're right, that moment where Queen Maeve kind of goes, I guess we have to do this again. And herself, Homelander, and Jack from Jupiter, a character from the comic books, remember the 7 from the comic books, where they fall back on their standard, it seems, explanation for when this kind of thing's happened. Oh no, there's aliens in space that caused this to happen.
And they're right in the sun. Yes, they're right in the line of the sun. You can't see them, but we can.
Yeah, I love the fan in the crowd who's going, I can see them. It's right there. Just look directly at the sun to all the people around.
Yeah, exactly.
Kids, don't look directly at the sun. You'll go blind.
And the interesting thing as well is, after all this carnage, after the remaining Supes fly away to deal with the imaginary alien attack, Billy Butcher does say to OD that I'll be seeing you around. So I guess he's got some other drug-induced spiking of soup plan as well.
Absolutely. And another reference to the comic book, Hughie, who is very different here. This is a comic book version of Hughie, played by Simon Pegg. A reference to the comic book there is that Billy Butcher says to him, Hughie, you're his handler now, because that's kind of a job of Hughie when they meet these kind of people who are useful to the boys. They keep them on retainer kind of thing to go, we'll be back to use your skills in the future kind of thing. So that's what they're doing here. Nice little reference there. Speaking of that, that's kind of my last point for the episode, is about the cast that's here. Wow, some great voice work that we have in this episode. We have Kieran Culkin plays OD, so he's quite central to the episode. You can really recognize there is something about the way Kieran Culkin delivers the F word that it's him from the minute you've seen him in.
And his groans as well.
Exactly, but you've seen him in Succession, you've seen him in Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and how he delivers the F word is better than most people.
Exactly.
He's really cool in there. Great to see some of our major cast from the show in there. Antony Starr as Homelander again, and Dominique McElligott back as Queen Maeve as well. Billy Butcher, very different. Billy Butcher, not Carl Urban here. That kind of travelling accent that he had in the show is gone. He is back to being British proper Londoner, which is Jason Isaacs playing this role, with that proper accent that you would expect from him. That was quite cool to see him in there. Anybody else stood out to you, John?
The only one for me is Michael Cera, who plays Great White Wonder. So great to have him on in this animation in this episode, because loved him in Scott Pilgrim versus the World as well, and of course Arrested Development. So
and big friends with Seth Rogen as well, so probably why he's there.
I mean, in a sense, he also doesn't have much to say, really. It's mainly him saying ow and getting sort of noises that creep out from him as he gets higher and higher and higher.
Exactly.
In the drug sense, not in the altitude sense.
And also the altitude sense, and getting up to Mach 2.
Well, that's true.
As well. We should really just repeat again, having Simon Pegg in here as Hughie. This was a big fan thing. The character was drawn to look like Simon Pegg in the comic books. For years, he was fan casted as the character of Hughie, but Hughie is a very young guy. He's a young guy with a young girlfriend to begin the storyline. So he'd aged out.
Definitely.
He did get to play his father in a couple of episodes of the TV show, so that was really good. But here we've actually got him voicing it the way the comic book character of Hughie is voiced as a Scottish character. So so good to see Simon Pegg in there as well.
Definitely.
Anything else left on the episode, John?
Only just to say that the opening animation of Terra the dog with the blood pouch, all the episodes have this reference to the episode in some way. So this is the blood pouch that Ironcast would have required to get himself high and hard, shall I say.
Yeah.
So it's just to note that really as well, which is really good.
Yeah. Also loved the closing music from the episode from Curtis Mayfield, the I'm Your Pusher Man. I just love that tune.
That was
proper 70s cool tune to close out the episode. A good kickoff to the season, I think.
Definitely. For me, I'd give this a good 4 Terra blood pouches out of 5. It's direct. It's no holds bars. It's bloody. Mm-hmm. It's pushing everything. It's uncomfortable, and it's what the boys are. It is, the one thing that we do that absolutely doesn't mind what your opinions are. Mm-hmm. It just puts it out there.
Exactly.
And it's done in a really short, snappy way, very digestible episodes. And absolutely would recommend this, and it's 4 Terra blood pouches out of 5 for me.
Excellent. I think that's it for this episode. Again, if you want to send any feedback to us, you can email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com, or you can join us over on our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/tvpodcastindustries. We'll pop up a spoiler post for each of the episodes if you want to talk about each of the individual episodes. You can share your thoughts over there as well.
Yeah.
That's it for episode 1. We'll be back with episode 2 later today, and we'll have the rest of the episodes out over the course of the next week.
Yeah, thanks so much, fellows, boys and girls, for coming back and reuniting over Diabolical. Speak to you soon.
Absolutely.
Bye.